From book 1, The Trials of Apollo absolutely had me. This is the 15th book in a series that has spanned the last 15 years. We're talking 3 pentalogies. And it all began with Percy Jackson discovering that he was a demigod. And it follows all the mythos and all of the magic, from all the gods to all the monsters, to follow the arrogant, selfish god Apollo, after he's been cursed by his father Zeus to live as a mortal teenager. But not all is lost. He may be bound as a servant to a teenage demigod, but he has the chance at redemption. And through the 5 books of the series, he slowly evolves into an empathetic and humbled being. He no longer sees humans as lesser. He mourns their lives and their losses, and he himself has become more human. He may be still a little vain and self-centered, but you empathize with him. The Trials of Apollo is a series that has spanned an entire country, from fighting a fleet of luxury yachts in California to battling at the side of a weaponized elephant in Indiana, or tackling a colossal statuary that is trying to crush you in New York. I mean, arrows speak with a Shakespearean lilt, and music has the ability to crumble even the toughest of villains. And battle-ready armor and a sword is not a fashion statement, but a necessity of life. Admittedly, I enjoyed The Trials of Apollo far more than the previous series, simply because I absolutely adored the voice. I mean, Apollo is such a uniquely entertaining narrator to have lead you through a fantasy world. I mean, he is the epitome of the bisexual disaster. This series is told with such a self-deprecating and casual humor that displays a marvelous level of modern consciousness, that it connects both the young and the old. So where are we when it comes to the Tower of Nero? Well, Apollo has managed to free the oracles, and he's on his way back to New York in order to face the tyrannical god emperor Nero. And once he's defeated, he must face his mortal enemy Python and free Delphi so he can restore prophecy to his oracle. So, with the help of Will Solis, Nico D'Angelo, Elizabeth Dare, and Camp Half-Blood, of course, with Meg at his side, they decide to storm the tower. Except, in the end, he's going to have to descend to face Python alone. I was so sad to see this series come to an end, but all paths led here. And I have to say that it came to a more than satisfactory ending. There is so much to love about this book. It has you at the edge of your seat from beginning to end, wondering how they're going to overcome the next huge impossible task that's thrown at them with very little downtime. We meet new characters that you absolutely adore within pages, and you discover new devastation that you never saw coming, but also find a new and renewed conviction. Everything has finally come to a head in this book. We see the culmination of everything that Apollo has learned on his long and painful journey. His fall from grace has fundamentally changed him. He knows tragedy. He knows sadness and love and the power of friendship and family. He has a newfound maturity. And people, like his son Will, or Sally Jackson, are proud of him. What I love about Rick Riordan is that his writing and storytelling has matured with his audience. Trials of Apollo is by far the most mature out of the entire series, and he's never once talked down to his audience or handled them with kitty gloves. The language can be a little simplistic or repetitive, but when thinking about who the audience is, it is somewhat understandable. He created an inclusive universe that didn't shy away from the problems and the challenges that are faced by the youth of today. He took on death, and sexuality, and gender, and mental health, or abuse. We see the effects of loss. We watch our favorite characters mourn, and we mourn with them. And sometimes this loss doesn't feel like it's worth it. But Apollo works hard to ensure that their loss, their sacrifice, means something. We even watch the effects of years of abuse and the struggle to overcome that. Meg is a strong young woman, and even when faced with her past, steps in to help others that have been faced with the same abuse that she lived with throughout her childhood. From the beginning of the series, we have watched Meg evolve and grow. She's no longer a little girl, she's a young woman. One of my favorite aspects of this book is that we get to see the progress of Nico and Will's relationship, which is only one of the same-sex relationships in this series. This is a year into their relationship. And they're still going strong. Not only that, but they seem to have found a balance. They seem to have found what works for them and begun that process of really learning your partner. Will is supportive and kind and gentle, but absolutely fierce and brave. Nico is determined and loyal and dangerous, but he still has this soft side that you get to see when interacting with Will and those he has come to trust. There are just so many moments of genuine affection that are sprinkled throughout the story that really establish who they are, not only as a couple, but also individuals. Nico is even seen actively working on his mental health. He's seen working through the trauma that has built up over the last few years. I mean, saving the world several times over has definitely taken a toll. Probably more on him than a lot of the other characters, but the other characters need help too. Mental health is one of those things that is often forgotten or overlooked, or even looked down on. But it's important for youth today to understand that it's okay. That it's okay to not be okay. That there is hope. There is help. And that you are not alone. This series has been magical and thrilling from beginning to end. It has left an impact on my life. The world is changing. And we are finally finding acceptance. Literature and media has begun to adapt and represent the diversity of our world. And I couldn't be more thrilled, especially with the promise of more to come. And maybe one day I'll eventually see representation of myself on the page. Overall, I give this book 4.5 stars. It is an excellent series, and I highly recommend reading it. Or if you're not a big reader, no big deal. The audiobook is absolutely wonderfully narrated. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to let me know what you think in the comments below. And for more content, subscribe to my channel, because I put out content every 10 days. Till next time, cheers.